Right, good afternoon everyone, and thank you for joining us, the first in our series of intermediate webinars for Just2easy. So my name is Nikki Kimball, I'm one of the educational consultants at Just2easy, and today we are going to be looking at the parent portal. Now in today's session, as I said, we're going to focus on the parent portal, and as part of that we're going to look at the setup process. So how you can link up parents to your parent portal. We're going to look at personalising your parent portal settings. So there's certain things you can switch on and off and configure to meet your requirements as a school. We are going to focus quite heavily on the parents' view of the portal. So you'll be able to see what the parents can see, and as part of that we will look at the parent portal homepage and how your parents can navigate that. We'll look at using messaging through J2Message, so we'll look at that both from the teacher perspective and the parent perspective. We're going to be looking at what your parents can see in terms of their child's file and work. We'll have a look at J2 Stars, J2 Homework, uploading work on their child's behalf as the parent, and also your class blog J2 Webby. Now we do get quite a few questions asked through the support desk about the parent portal, so hopefully these statements might answer some of these questions before we even start. The parent portal has to be switched on. Now by that there is a setting that you can tick that will switch it on. However, your parents or carers will not be able to access the site unless they are invited by email or QR code. So even if that is switched on, if you decide not to give out QR codes or invite by email, your parents won't have access. You retain full autonomy, so you are able to remove any access at any time. You're able to revoke emails and also QR codes. Messaging can be switched off, but you can also make it a one-way messaging board. And you can apply restrictions. So for example, only allowing one contactable teacher for each class. So we're going to get straight into it and personalising the parent portal. So you will log into your Just2easy account, however it is that you're logging in. I know we've got a lot of Northern Irish and Scottish teachers joining us. So you would use the usual configuration. You would use either your C2K login or your Glow login. So however you would normally log into our site, and the parent portal itself can be found within the dashboard. So J2 dashboard, this is my launchpad. So dashboard can be found here. It is a teacher only tool, so your pupils won't be able to see this. And you can personalize your parent portal. So we're going to look at that first of all. And the settings are actually at the bottom of the setup tab. As we scroll down, you'll notice these 4 settings here. These apply to the parent portal. So there we go. We can switch that parent portal off, but as I said, parents will only be able to access this if they are invited. You have the ability to switch messaging on or off. So if you didn't want to use the messaging at all, you can tick that off. If you do want to use it, but you want to make it a one-way messaging board, you can switch parental messaging off. Now I know for our Scottish schools that is something that's been decided as an authority, so those have been switched off. Now, if you wanted to, you can restrict who your parents can contact. So this really narrows down each per class who that parent can contact. And we can do that through this configure tab here. And I could, for example, select class 2. And at the moment they can message any teacher in school, but you can choose which teachers you want them to be able to contact. So for example, let's say Mrs. White and Mr. Gowdridge. Now I can hold the control button to select multiple teachers if I wanted to, and I can click OK, and that now has selected those 2 teachers. Now if I wanted to change that at any point, it's very easy to do. You just deselect and then reselect a new teacher. So for example, if we're moving into a new year group. So that is how you would fine-tune those messaging settings. The other option that we've got is to allow parents to view the child files and work. So you can switch that off. That will remove parental access to the child's My Files area. So within the parent portal, that is called the child files, but it links to the pupil's own My Files account. So some schools like to switch that off. Some schools like to switch it on. It's entirely personal preference. The other thing to point out at this point is we do have the J2 message log here. Now this logs every single message that goes through the messaging site. That includes teacher messages, pupil messages, and parental messages. So you need to make people aware that that is being logged. So you might need to write that into an acceptable usage policy and just make sure that people know that that is what is happening. Every message will be logged, even those that are later deleted. And it really is a bit of a safeguard for you. So it is a way of capturing any inappropriate messages. Maybe you have some disclosures from pupils, for example. So you will always have that, even if a message is deleted. So that is personalising your parent portal. So just to review that, it is through the J2 dashboard and through the setup tab, and you have those 4 settings there that you can switch on or off. Now, how do we get parents linked up to the parent portal? So there are now 2 different ways. So historically, we've always used the manual invite for emails. So you would input an email. More recently, we have now just launched the linking via QR codes. So this can be a lot quicker and easier for you as a school. And both of these processes are again done through the dashboard and through the parent tab. So just to show you, I'm going to open my dashboard again. You'll notice I've got my parent tab here. And when I open that, it's going to open with your youngest class or the first class in your list. So mine is class 1. You can select a different class by clicking on that drop down menu. And then as we scroll through, it will tell you how many families are connected. It will tell you whether they've been invited by email, by QR code, or it will also list which parents have accepted. So you can see here, test parent is now linked to Harry's account. If I scroll down, you can see these are all the parents that have been invited and linked. So to generate a QR code, you would select your class and then click that create QR code, and that's going to create an entire class worth of parent QR codes. Now, if you're unfamiliar with QR codes, these are scannable links. So your parents, you would send these home if you want to. You may want to keep them in school. It really depends on your stance. So some schools don't like sending them home because once they're sent home, you don't have any control of who is scanning and linking up to this account. So some schools like to retain these in school. So that just means that you can have parents come in and scan there on the spot, and you know that it's the appropriate parent. So it really is, again, personal preference. So the parent would open up a camera app on a device or a QR code reader if they have one. They scan this using the camera app, a link will come up, they click that, and the first time they do this, they will be asked to register for an account. So it's a very simple process. It requires first name, surname, email address, and a password. And they just tick to say they agree to the terms and conditions, and that then registers them for an account. Now, if you have parents with multiple children at school, they will receive a QR code per child. So you'll notice that this is a specific QR code for Bobby in class 1. So for the subsequent children, they would then scan each QR code. They only need to register with the first QR code. With each subsequent QR code, it will link it up automatically. As long as they're logged in, they don't need to do anything. Just scan it and it will link all those children to the same account. If you do decide to send QR codes out and you can see, so for example, I can see here that Harry's parent is now linked to that account, I can then delete that QR code. So that means that QR code will no longer work. So that is an option for you if you wanted to send QR codes home. Once you see a parent that's been linked, delete that QR code. If you see that a parent that you don't recognise, or an unauthorised guardian or someone that you're not quite sure who they are has linked up to that account, you do have the option to delete that person. So just press that cross and that will delete that linked account. So you do retain some autonomy there. So just to reflect on that, linking via QR codes, you would use that create QR code within the parent tab within J2 dashboard. That will create a class worth of QR codes. Parents will receive one QR code per child. They scan a QR code, register with the first one, then scan each subsequent QR code to link multiple children. Now, if you decide that you don't like the look of the QR codes, or you would prefer to manually input emails, you do have the option to link via email. So this would be done very similar way. So we've got our parent tab, we've got this button for invite parents. So we click that and then you manually input an email address. So that does take a lot longer to do, but it does mean that you then only invite parents that you know and that you want to have access. So when their email is inputted, they will receive an email which will look like this. So they've been invited to connect as a parent, so they click the connect to your child. This is the registration page. You can see first name, surname, email address and password. You need to tick that they agree to those terms and conditions and click continue. Now again, they're going to receive an email per child. So once they have registered, they don't need to do anything else. They just need to click on the subsequent emails and that will link them into the same account. So they don't need to register 3 times. They just need to use that login button and that will link up those children. Now, in terms of accessing the parent portal, this can be done in 2 different ways. So there is an app on the App Store, so under Just2easy Parent Portal. Here we go, so they can download that, they can use the login button and that will log them into that app. Alternatively, they don't have a phone or a mobile device, they can go via the parent.j2e.com and they can use the login and that will work in exactly the same way. It looks exactly the same. So 2 different ways of accessing. And this is what the parent portal will look like for your parents. So just to show you, I'm going to log into my parent portal. So here we are, I've got my demo child. So to log in, they would add in their email address and their password and they click sign in. It will show them initially which child they want to select. If they only have one child at the school, it will just log them straight into the landing page. If they have multiple children, they can choose which child they want to look at. So let's look at Lottie. And this is what the landing page will look like. So just to give you an overview of what all the tools link to, we've got the child that we're currently looking at the top. And we've also got the switch button. So that means if you want to switch between this child and another child, you can click that and it will take you back to the previous page. We can see the outstanding homework tasks. So that's an overview. And also how many J2 stars our child has received that week. We've got a link button to J2 homework. Now both of these buttons will link to J2 homework. So it doesn't really matter which one they click on. We have a link to the child's file. So that links into the child's My Files area. So anything that child has created and saved will save into their My Files. So the parent will be able to look at the child files as well. Now that you can switch off. You also have the option for them to upload files on the child's behalf and a link to the class blog. So J2 Webby. And we're going to look at all of these in a bit more depth in a second. So first of all, we are going to start with messaging, and I'm going to do this in real time and hope that it works. So the messaging of parents is done through J2Message. Now, J2Message is a fantastic tool. It's a great way of teaching children how to use online communication systems, how to communicate appropriately and effectively. It's a great way of maybe having a think about, composing emails or how we engage on an online discussion board. So there's lots of different uses for this. So you can use it for messaging pupils, but you can also use it for messaging parents. So I'm going to open up my message, which is here. So I'm in my teacher account. Here is J2Message. And it will open up in that first class that you have in the list. So mine is class 1. And you can see under class 1, I've also got this option to message all parents and carers. So the discussion board is always listed on the top left, so I can click that, and that now I can see is class 1 parents and carers. Now you've also got the option to message all parents and carers, so this is the whole school and this is messaging all parents and carers. So that's a great way if you're doing maybe some notices, maybe days that we're coming back to school, if you've got any inset days, if you've got any sports days, that kind of thing. That's a great way of notifying every parent in school. You've also got the option to message parents of individual pupils, and that can be done here. So this is the individuals, and I can search up here so we can look for Lottie. There's Lottie, and when I click on Lottie's name, I can see there the linked parents and carers. So if you have multiple parents linked, there'll be a discussion board for each parent or carer. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to message within the discussion board. So I'm going to message the parents of all parents of class 1. So I'm going to click on that, and there we go. So I'm just going to type a test message. I'm going to say, I don't know, school photographs will be taken tomorrow between 9 and 12. There we go. Now I have lots of options here, so I can make that bold, underline it, can clear all that text if I've gone wrong. I can make it an ordered list if I wanted to. I've got the speech to text, so you can dictate these messages instead. And I've also got the attachment option. So if I click that, that's going to take me through to my files. So there you go. So you can attach documents, you can attach files. So it could be a J2E5 file, it could be a newsletter, a Word document, whatever it is that you want to attach. So that is quite a useful tool. And then when I'm done, I'm going to click that send button, and that will send to all parents and carers, and I can see that that message has been sent. So this is my child. So just to show you, if I refresh that page, you can see there's a notification that comes up, and actually I can see there's a notification that comes up on the landing page if they have multiple children, so they know that there's multiple messages they need to check. They will also get a notification on the app, so on their phone, and they will get an email notification as well. So the messaging looks like this, very similar. So there we go. So they can open that up. Along the left hand side, they can see that is the class that their child is in, and they can click that, and that is going to show them school photographs will be taken tomorrow between 9 and 12. Okay, so my parent might want to respond to that. So if you have parental messaging switched on, they will be able to respond. If it is switched off, they won't have this option. So my parent can reply, and she could say, thank you, I will bring in her sister for the photo. Can you let me know a time, please? Okay, and then she can hit send. Now you'll notice that that has moved that message from the class discussion board to a one-to-one message with that teacher. So your parents will never be able to message within a class discussion board. It's always a private message with the teacher that has sent the message. So we can hit send, and that now has sent to the teacher. So I'm just going to come out. You can see there is a little notification that came up. But there's also, if I come out of here, and if I just refresh my page, you'll see there's a notification that comes up on my J2 message. There is a notification that flashes up on your screen for a few seconds, so you will be notified that there is a message. So I can click on that, and you'll notice there's a little green circle on these people up here, so that shows me there is a one-to-one message I need to look at. I can click on Lottie, and it's actually on my parental account, so I can click that, and there is that message. So as a teacher, you could respond to that. So you could say, let's have a look. Lottie is scheduled for, let's put 9:50. Would help if I could type that. There we go, 9:50, and hit send. And that will again send back to that parent. And there we go, that has come through live. So that is the messaging service. Just to reiterate, I'm just going to go back. You can send messages for all of your parents in a class discussion board. As soon as they hit reply, if you allow replies, then that will move that to a one-to-one messaging service. There are also things that we can do. We can reinstate deleted messages. So if a parent has sent something and deleted it, you can reinstate that. So just to show you on the message, you have this option here. We can show deleted messages. You can see here these deleted messages in red. Okay, so that is a deleted message. So you do need to make parents aware that even if they send something and later delete it, it can be reinstated. So just for your safety more than anything. So that is messaging parents. Now we're going to have a look at some of the other tools now. Let's have a look at parents uploading work. So it may be that, especially the younger students, maybe that parents are taking pictures of them that they want to send into school, or that showcases something that they're doing at home, maybe reading aloud, maybe they're taking a photograph of them, I don't know, playing in a tough tray with some water, and they can upload content. So through the app, they will do it in exactly the same way. It just looks slightly different when they click choose files. But I'm going to show you the desktop version. So they can do that through the upload files area. And then you've got the option to choose file. So when they click on that, it's going to open up into your hard drive or sort of the external storage. So they can add photos in. So for example, let's add this screenshot. If I click open, that is going to add that. And that will add that into the child's My Files. Now, as a teacher, you will be able to see if it's the parent that's uploaded it as opposed to the child. So don't worry about, getting confused about who's created what and who was uploaded by whom, what was uploaded by whom. Parents can delete things, but they have to do that through the child's files area. Okay. Anything that's uploaded is visible immediately within the child's file. As I said, I'm just going to go back so I don't have to later. With the tablet view, when they click choose files, they'll be met with a photo library. They can take photos or videos directly into it. So that's a nice option, especially if they're using phones for capturing evidence. So they can take a video directly into the pupil's file, and they can choose files that are external to a photo. Okay. Now that links in nicely to the child's files. So the child files area is the child's My Files area, and it can be found as a teacher in the pupil files. I hope that doesn't sound too confusing. So they all link to the same area, basically. So the parent can see all work created by their child. Anything that's added into the child's My Files will be visible to the parents, which is why some schools do like to switch this off, especially if you're uploading things like observations that maybe you don't really want your parents viewing. Some schools don't like that. You can switch this off. And if you are going to switch this off, then J2Webby or the class blog might be an alternative option for you for showcasing work. So we will talk about that in a second. So the child's files looks like this. So it is, as I said earlier, the same as the child's My Files. So when they log into the My Files, it looks exactly the same. Okay. So the parent can see all of the work. So there is that screenshot that the parent uploaded. We can scroll through, they can see all these pieces of work. They can open any of this work. There we go. And they can also see any learning conversations that have taken place. So if you're not using learning conversations, you might want to consider this because it is a really useful tool for feedback, for assessment, for offering appropriate questioning and that kind of thing. So this is, I normally say two-way conversation. It's not. It's now a three-way conversation because the parent can have some input into this learning conversation. So you can see here, as I hover over any piece of work, I've got a sort of a speech bubble that comes up. And the ones in red are the ones that we haven't looked at yet. So I can look at this and we can see here, great start to your work. Can you write me 3 descriptive words? So Miss Kimball has offered that feedback to that child. So the parent could work with their child. They could say, oh, we've had a discussion about descriptive words at home. They can record some audio. They can give a thumbs up. They can take photographs straight into it, and they can upload files as well. Other things that the parents can do, they can upload things here. So they can drag things in. So for example, let's go for pictures, screenshots again. So maybe let's drag in this screenshot here. We can drag that onto that Dropbox and that is going to add again into that child's file. So that is 2 different ways for uploading content if you wanted to. They can view, it automatically views in tile mode, but they can also view in list mode. Now when they view in list mode, they will be able to see any targets that have been tagged against pieces of work. So if you are using J2 Review to track progression against certain frameworks, they will be visible to the parents and they'll be visible there. So you can see there. Okay. But parents generally, they don't notice that's there unless you point it out. So that is the child files area. Now just to highlight to you the child's My Files. So as a teacher you can access the pupils file and that is done through the pupil files area. So Lottie, our demo pupil, is in class 1 and she is here. So we can see, just to highlight this, these are these 3 pieces of work that the parent has uploaded on her behalf. So we can see that it is the parent that has uploaded that. We can see that's different from Lottie. So you will know when it is the parent. So you can see there's the parent. And we can enter into learning conversations there if we wanted to. So just to review that is the child file area, child files area. Parents can see all the work created by their child. They do have the upload option and the option to engage in those learning conversations, and they can choose how the display format, which display format they're going to use. Now the class blog site. So this links into J2Webby. So if you are going to switch off access to the child files area, this might be an alternative solution for you. It's a great way of showcasing best pieces of work. So every child and every teacher will be able to use the publish button in any of their work. So the publish button looks like this. It is the Webby logo. So if I just come out of this, you'll see this is a J2E5 file and there is my publish button. Now as a teacher, I can publish content and it publishes immediately onto my class blog site. For pupils, that's slightly different. So when they press the publish button, they will be given a little dialog box that says it needs to be authorised by a teacher. So as a teacher, you do have to authorise any content that is published, and that's done through the moderation tab. But once it's published, it gives you a nice feed of best pieces of work. So it's like a digital display board. So you can, have a look at any of these pieces of work. You can also add comments. So the comments have to be moderated by a teacher. Parents can't comment on pieces of work. Pupils can. So you have that. But any sort of comment that is posted by a pupil, again, has to be moderated by a teacher. Okay, so it gives parents just a nice view of what's going on in class. So the blog site looks like this. And when they click that, it automatically opens into their child's class blog site. So this will show them the content from the entire class. So we can scroll through this. We can see that was posted by the teacher. We can see Lottie's done quite a bit of work. You can see that Lottie's my demo pupil. I haven't really got any other demo examples. But any sort of interactivity in these posts, so if we click view post, that will work. So this is an animation, so this retains that interactivity. If it had sounds attached to it, you could play the sounds. If it was a video, you could play the video. So it's a nice way of showcasing all the work that's going on in class. Now, if your parent wanted to see just the work by their child, understandably, they can click, so they find the first post by their child, they can click their child's name, and that now is showing just Lottie's pieces of work. So we can scroll through and we can see all the bits of work that Lottie has completed recently. Okay, so that is J2 Webby. J2 Stars. So if you're not using J2 Stars, this is a great pupil reward system. So as a teacher, you can award stars. So I'm just going to open up stars from my Launchpad, which is here. I'm going to open up my class. And here I've got all of my students. I can award stars according to whole class. So I can click that. I've got all the different stars. I can add in my own skills if I wanted to. And I can also leave comments. So I'm going to say, right, you were working hard. And it is a noisy app, I'm afraid. You can also award points for individual students by clicking on their name. And for example, I can tick this box and I could say joining in. So I could say Lottie interacted well during our class discussion in English. There we go. And I can add that feedback. So the parent view looks exactly the same as the child's view. So the J2 Stars, in fact, if I refresh that page, that's going to go up to 5. There we go. So it does update in real time. And I can see here, this is what the parents will see. This is the same as what the pupils see. So they don't see the whole class, they just see that child. And they can see the points that they've been awarded. So, yep, she was working hard. They can see she was joining in. Any written feedback is written in yellow. So Lottie interacted well during our class discussion in English. They can scroll back so they can see all the other points that she's had. They can also fine tune those points. You might want to just see the points from today. So there we go. She's had 2 points today or this week. So she's had 5 points this week. The other thing that they can do is they can change the avatar. So this is a nice activity for the students to do sometimes. And actually it links into social, emotional, mental health, because I've had a few schools where they have had this as a morning activity. As the students come in, they choose their own avatar to reflect how they're feeling. And then in the class view, you can see which students are looking a little bit sad, that you might need to do a bit of mental health check-in. So they can change these avatars and save it with their child if they wanted to. So that is J2 Stars. And then lastly, homework. So you may or may not be using homework. If you're not, it's a great way of setting activities for your students to do either at home or even as class activities. So it sets out expectations, you can link in files, you can add links to it. It's a great way of setting tasks for your students to do. So the homework looks very similar for the parent view as it does for the teacher and the pupil view. So it is here. We can see an overview of the 2 tasks that are outstanding. We can see when they were set and when they are due. The ones that are due soonest will be at the top, and if there's less than, I think, 24 hours or 48 hours, they do go yellow as opposed to green. You can also tick the box that says show completed. She's got no homework, and show expired. So those are the ones that she potentially hadn't done. Okay. She can click on any of these pieces of homework and it's going to outline the activity itself, and also it might link to any files. Now, there are 2 ways of setting homework. As a teacher, you can set your own homework, so you can define that task and add in files. You can also set homework directly from the library. So if you find interesting library activities that you want to use, click the homework button and that will pre-populate your homework task that you just need to then set a set date and a due date, and that is ready to go. Now, the main difference with the parent view on homework is that they cannot complete the homework. So they can link files if they wanted to, but there is no complete, mark as complete button at the bottom, which you would have in a pupil account. So it's important to point out to parents, if the pupil is completing homework, the pupil needs to log in to their account, otherwise they won't be able to mark that as complete. So this really is just designed to give the parents an overview of what those outstanding tasks are, not to complete on behalf of the child. Okay, so that is the parent portal. So hopefully you have enjoyed today's session. I'm a little bit over in terms of time, so apologies for that, but we would be really grateful for any feedback that you have. So if you did want to scan this QR code and submit any feedback, I would love to hear it. It helps us to deliver appropriate content. So please let me know if the pace or the content you found was useful or not useful. We're open to any sort of feedback. So just open the camera app, scan this and offer your feedback. Then lastly, just some contact details for you. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at edteam@j2e.com. So that goes to the education team. We're also on Facebook and X, formerly known as Twitter. So those are the names that you need to search for. We are quite vocal on both, so we do announce a lot of the training opportunities, and we also showcase best pieces of work. So if you do want to submit, we're more than happy to retweet or repost any bits of content that you have created with your students. And then lastly, we're also on YouTube. So that is our YouTube channel, Just2easy TV. This is being recorded and will be added, as will all of our training sessions this academic year. So these will be hosted on YouTube. So this is our YouTube channel. I'm just going to pause that because it is quite noisy. Just2easy TV. So please give us a like or a subscribe. We've got a whole host of different videos available. So right from our 2-minute tips and tricks that offer, sort of opportunities and ideas. We've got our Quick Bites webinar series that showcases all of our tools. And we will also be posting these into the webinars. So we will be creating an intermediate webinars series, and this will be added. So please feel free to share that site with colleagues that may want to know a bit more about Just2easy. And we hope to see you for future webinars. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for attending, and we will see you soon.